The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the podcast belong solely to the hosts and not the host's past, present, or future employers. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back, because I mean, it's been, well, for me, almost a month, and Miss Boleyn, definitely a month.
Yes, for sure. Yay.
Yeah. Yay. And this is, of course, Breaking Down Security. Mr. Betcher is playing Mr. Mom tonight, taking care of fam, so we're letting him have the week off. He'll be back next week. We're supposed to have an interview with Kim Crawley about her new book, so hopefully people will be able to join us for that. Miss Berlin, tell us a little bit about Hacker Summer Camp. It's been almost a month, but how was it? How was it?
I don't even remember. It seems like forever ago.
Are you sure it's not because you were blotto or whatever?
No, only sometimes. Well, yeah.
Oh,
maybe.
Good.
There were a couple 5 a.m. mornings.
Oh my.
But yeah. No, it was good. I really liked that they required vaccinations and masks. That was nice.
Excellent.
Super small.
I saw that. I saw some of the Twitter pictures. It was like the place where the hotel was. It was like, normally this place is completely full of people and you could actually see the floor, and
which was also cool. I still getting used to being around more people, so I didn't spend a crazy amount of time on the strip. But it was working staff trying to take pictures was difficult because there just wasn't a lot. They did have some really cool new stuff that I had never seen before. They had an aerospace village,
really,
which was super neat. Yeah, so they had a couple new like niche villages that were really cool.
Nice.
They had a memorial for certain people that had passed over the last year. It was really neat. They super different though. I saw on Twitter that some people said it very much reminded them of some of the first couple years of DEF CON and Black Hat. It was more a bit more intimate, minus the masks, obviously, but yeah, it was a bit more intimate in that respect. Did you have a chance? I know you were working the mental health village. How did that go? Did you have a lot of good talks? We had some really good talks. I gave one of mine. We had some other people give some talks, and it was also interesting because it was in a different hotel. It was in Planet Hollywood. Because it was scheduled and like kind of organized last minute due to things. And it, started advertising it like maybe a week prior. We weren't on Hacker Tracker. We weren't on any of this stuff. So it was just because I can't plan an entire event in a week. That's almost impossible. But we drove again, right? So me and 4 other people from Ohio / Michigan. So we actually, the luggage hauler things that go in your hitch. I had to get one of those last minute because I didn't really realize how much space that luggage would take up, and I didn't know what car I was getting for rental. Right. So we were like the night before we were packing and quickly realized not everything was going to fit with everybody in the vehicle. Oh gosh, I have to put my headphones in, don't I? Everybody
1987 Yugo with 4 adults and yourself.
Right. Plus, so we hooked that up. Treacherous roads on the way there.
It goes without saying. You had to go through Missouri, so hopefully you didn't stop.
On the way there, the bad part was Colorado because the mudslides had taken out one of the major highways after Denver.
Oh my. Okay.
And we had to go like through the mountains, and there were like active rock slides hitting cars. Jesus. And we were driving in the rain and the fog. It was a nightmare, man.
Oh my God. All right. So while she's trying to find her headphones, we're a little out of it because it truly has been a month since we've seen one another. For those of you who've been listening to the podcast, you're like, well, it's only been a week. Mr. Betcher and we did a couple of shows before I went on vacation to Europe, which To be fair, when we'd had this trip planned for about 2 years, and of course last year it got cannexed because of something, some kind of little thing going on in the world. And so this year, they were kind enough to let Americans back into the European Union, and we had originally supposed to go to London, but sadly the UK couldn't figure their shit out, and we were worried about having to quarantine once we got back to Paris, because EU rules versus UK rules. So we ended up going to Rome, and it was very lovely. Country was lovely, and I fell in love with Positano and Pompeii. We went and visited them. I'm going to somebody had told me that this was a phrase that meant it was a beautiful country and that it's all lovely. What they say, bel paese ma pui caldo del buco del chulo di Sant'Anna. Apparently that means it's a lovely country and all lovely places. So
I don't think that's what that means.
No, I'm pretty sure. If you look that up, and
I really hope somebody that listens speaks Italian.
I hope that they don't, because I probably ruined that, and yeah. So I'll leave that in some show notes if people.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to ask you if you would put those in the show notes, just so we can repeat it. Yeah. So we got to Rome, and it was like 40 C, which is like 104 Fahrenheit in the afternoon. So I did a lot of walking, tons of walking in the mornings. The one thing I loved about it was everybody was masked up. Nobody there were people who complained, but they were mostly Americans. Weird. And so. Yeah, we had to show our vaccination cards and our QR codes once we got our antigen tests. We took a flight up to Paris, Charles de Gaulle. We hung out there for a couple of days, and then took the TGV across to Bordeaux for our river cruise. And it was great. Everybody was real chill. We ended up with completely negative antigen tests and PCR tests the whole time. We had 50 people on our cruise. 30 of them were our cruise group that we normally go with, Cruise Trek. And everybody tested negatives. I mean, we had tour buses, and we had real, close quarters sometimes. But yeah, it was lovely, and got a lot of wine tastings. I don't remember several days. My poor liver's on vacation now because I'm no longer drinking. But nothing like a wine tasting at 9:30 in the morning to get that liver started. So that just sounds like a Tuesday to me.
Oh my goodness.
I dried out after summer camp.
That's good.
Had to.
Yeah. AMA Waterways is a lovely river cruise group. If you're in the EU and you don't want to travel to America, because nobody does. They have Rhine and River and Seine. They're not a sponsor. It's just we've gone on them a lot. We know quite a few people who actually are crew members on those ships. So it's really cool to hang out with those folks, Valentino and Z and the cruise directors and stuff. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. And but yeah, I've taken 2 transatlantic flights, 2 domestic flights, a train. Had a car take us to the airport and back. I went to the nth degree instead of just, people worried about going to little old Vegas for a week of, hacker summer camp. I did fucking Europe. So, and then of course, days after we get back, EU is kicking the US off the trusted list. So Good job, America. Yay, you. Fuckers. Anyway, so, but yeah, Mr. Betcher, like I said, is out this week. We're going to just do some news. Oh, InfoSec Campout went really well.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
Miss Berlin is
Miss Berlin's one of my officers. I came back from a transatlantic flight on the 26th, and then the very next day I got to camp out for 3 days. Yes. So that was a lot of fun.
Was it relaxing though? I know vacation, I think a lot of times is so much work. right? Because there's so much prep and there's so much either travel or packing or whatever. And it can be kind of stressful sometimes, depending on what
it is kind of stressful. Yeah. And knowing that you got to come back to whatever the hell is in your inbox.
Yeah.
I was worried about the weather because, it's an outdoor camping conference. So I was like, I was refreshing my, my Weather Underground in Bordeaux every day going, oh my God, it's going to rain on Friday. It's going to rain on Friday.
Yeah.
It did, but we had about 40 people show up, which was about what we had expected. A ton of campers, including pretty much everybody who goes to tour camp, which so they used our conference as kind of like a mini tour camp, which they're going to be doing theirs next year. But they brought a pizza oven, propane powered pizza oven. I say that 3 times fast, and cooked enough pizzas to feed everybody, it was great.
Nice.
Tour camp. You know what? I am hardly endorsing tour camp. If you can get a chance to go to either the San Diego component or the Seattle component, do so, because they're awesome people. Hikari and crew there. They came in, they didn't ask for any money. I offered, and they were like, no, we have to make the food good then if we got paid. So, they tested out the pizza oven and they fed everybody, and it was just awesome. And it was very cool. And they brought DJ, they brought a turntable, they had music on and a light show. It's just really solid, good people. So, tour camp, definitely go. I'm definitely going to try and do that next year. And if we can. But if you have a chance and you're on the West Coast, you just want to camp out, go to tour camp and then spend another 3 months and come to InfoSec Camp Out, which we've already got scheduled. So 26th, 27th, 28th of August, 2022, we've already booked the venue, so to speak. So
which is the same time as the second Blue Team Con. So
this was the third Blue Team Con. I remember. What?
This is the first. That was the first one.
No, I have a shirt.
You do. It never happened.
Oh,
it was supposed to be during COVID, and they pushed it off. Never did a virtual option.
Oh,
they just pushed it off.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. This was their first, which it was amazing. I mean, they've been planning it for almost 3 years.
Right. I could have sworn that they had one like in 2019, but okay. Because I remember they gave me a t-shirt and I was like, cool. And I'll go to it. And then I never did. Okay, cool. 2020 is really screwed with us good, didn't it?
Oh yeah.
So, tour camp, go to it. You may have to, take a ferry and kind of rough it, but they have power out there and everything, just like we do the InfoSec Camp Out, but good people. So Hikari and team, really awesome folks. So
yeah.
Sorry. I know it sounds like I'm advertising, but it is what it is. So, so we got some news. We're going to do a few articles this week.
Yeah.
So I saw this one on Twitter. This is the Apple story. Somebody had mentioned on Twitter and had posted this Verge article about Apple cares about your privacy unless you work at Apple. And they said the company has taken a strong stance on safeguarding its customers' data, but some employees don't believe it protects theirs. And, so the discussion is, a guy was sitting down with his manager during his first week at Apple when he was told he needed to link his personal Apple ID and work account. Struck him as odd because he owns an Apple product. His Apple ID is tied to his personal data. Now, see, this is a little different than what I had expected, but some people had mentioned on Twitter that, they were worried about the data. And, we hear about this a lot where people use their work laptops or whatever to surf the web, buy stuff. It's pretty much their personal laptop as well. I know Miss Berlin, before we did the podcast, she said she had opinions of this. I actually have opinions and stuff that's worked with me. What is your opinion on using a work laptop or work device for personal stuff and vice versa?
So like in their specific story in this article, like they said the policy isn't negotiable and you have to link your personal account. So first question, which personal account? Like I would definitely, if I was going to work for Apple, create a brand new personal account that has 0 things tied to it, because there is no way I am tying my personal account with like an Apple work account. Like that sounds
Yeah.
terrible. Then they can't use their work account, like their work email, to sign up for an app, which strikes me as really odd and invasive, right? So being as like I was one of the first 6 people at Blue Mira, we didn't have work devices really, right? Like I had my own MacBook and that's what I used, right? I had my own personal Apple ID. I had like everything in the beginning was like, okay, I was doing training and I was doing, writing, and I was doing this podcasting, and I was also doing Blue Mira stuff. Like I was basically using my personal device for all of the work stuff. And if anybody's ever seen Silicon Valley, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Well, in that case, it's a forced BYOD. It's a reverse BYOD. Instead of you wanting to use your personal device, you didn't necessarily want to, but your options are to buy a separate device, which, if you're buying a Windows box or a Mac or whatever, it's going to get expensive, and you can't expect them to reimburse you for that.
Sure. And which is fine. But then what happened, as we slowly grew, I got a work laptop, but then it was difficult because like transitioning all that stuff over and separating it all out is really difficult because like you're in the middle of stuff. So I just started using the new one, and again had everything on both. Stopped using the personal one except for other niche cases, whatever. But like what really kind of broke me from that was I actually had to sit down, and took me a couple days to separate everything out, because I had talked to our head of product who had worked at Duo and had to do like legal discovery once because like someone sued them or something, right? And he said was the biggest pain that he's ever had to go through and will never again use personal and work devices the same. I'm like, okay, then I may, and also like I had been ignoring like our sysadmin for weeks for the MDM software that I was supposed to be putting on, because I also wasn't going to put an MDM software on even the work device yet, just because it still had my personal Apple ID attached to it. So you have to like decouple your personal Apple ID, set up a new one, logged out of Chrome, logged out of Firefox, like Zoom, literally everything that was personal, scrubbed it all, like, and then was fine. I mean, Dropbox is the only Dropbox and like a password safe, I think, are the two things that I have to share. But at that point, like it's fine to put like the MDM on in at least my case. But yeah, it's just it's a pain having 2 laptops, and it would be even more of a pain to do 2 phones and stuff. But I just think depending on who you are and what your case is, like if we get really big like Duo did and we get sued, I don't want to hand over my personal laptop. That sounds like a nightmare.
Or your phone, because e-discovery is you're going to look at everything regardless. So it could be personal photos, it could be tweets, it could be anything stored on that box. They may not hit you if you're torrenting things and it's like, I probably shouldn't have torrented that season of Doctor Who on my work device, or they find out you're worse, IT can get in, if they're doing monitoring software, like you said, if they force people to put MDM on their software, that gives them remote access to your device, or to be able to make backups, quote unquote, which could just, do a complete scrape of your entire hard drive. So they've got everything, including what could be in your own personal Apple drives.
Sure. And in the beginning, like it shows you what permissions the MDM has, right? It's like, oh, well, we're only turning on this ability or that ability or whatever, like to see what software versions you have and this and that. Like, okay, well, that's what you have now. But if you update those MDM permissions on the back end, I don't see that. Right. You could just like go ahead and be like, oh, well, now we want more control. Sorry. Like you've already given MDM permissions for stuff. So now we have everything. And like the scopes changed and you had no idea.
Yep.
Yeah. And I had to like, because before I never had a contract. And like when we did a contract, I had to like force them to change the wording because I still had my personal device. And like, it was just, yeah, it was kind of a mess, but
yep.
I mean, I get where they're coming from. I don't know that I would have, I mean, I understand like the person in this article is really excited to have the new job.
Right.
But I wouldn't link it. I'd be like, oh, I definitely do not already have a iCloud account. So I'm just going to create a new one.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have an iCloud account either, but yeah, this guy was all in on the ecosystem. So he said when he handed in his
no, I mean,
laptop,
I do have one. Just say,
just create a new one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So Preston said after 3 years, he handed in his resignation, presumably been using his work laptop for everything under the sun. And, you know, per Apple protocol, supposed to turn in all of his stuff and that he shouldn't wipe his computer's hard drive. He said his initial worry came to pass. Personal messages were on his laptop, private documents concerning taxes and a recent home loan. Now, the taxes, they've got your payroll and, you know, history.
Sure.
So, I mean, unless you're mining Bitcoin or some evil shit like that, they're going to know what they're withholding and, you know, and all that stuff. But, you know, there may be other things in taxes, like he may have a home. He said a recent home loan. So he tried to get a home, or he's, you know, tried to get a second home or something like that. Yeah. And he said there was no way to make sure that they were all removed from the laptop without wiping it completely. That's the other thing with MDM. Like if you have company IP on your personal box and you had lost that, or you know, taken it to DEF CON and Black Hat and somebody had taken your laptop, and you know, there's you've lost company data. You've lost, you know, more importantly, you've lost podcast data, you know, really.
Right.
Fair. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, any, you know, porn or anything you might've had on your laptop, you know, in addition to that, if you had MDM on your personal machine, they could technically wipe it. I worked at a place, government contractor, where people had been using their phones, business phones for personal reasons. And I come in one morning and guy's pissed off. He's like, oh my God, I hate fucking IT, whatever. I was like, well, what's wrong? And they're like, oh, they pushed an update to us and they bricked our phones and then they had to remote wipe them. I've lost baby pictures and, you know, all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's why I don't have shit on my phone. So yeah, people lost years worth of data and information on their phones that they were, you know, getting for free because the company was paying for it. But yeah, they didn't have an option to back up their phones or anything like that. And they lost baby pictures and stuff they couldn't get back. And
yeah, that's why I use other backup options for my phone.
Right. Well, my go-to back then at that government contractor was my phone was rooted, which it was. I used a third-party firmware or whatever. But you know, it wasn't until I started working at the company afterwards at Xerox that I was like, you know, I was using my laptop for everything. You know, I download completely legitimate torrents of Linux files,
like ISOs, right?
ISOs, yes. And you know, training materials in MP4 that taught me about hacking, which actually was true. But when I decided to leave the company, it was like, holy shit, I got a lot of stuff on here, you know? And then it was like, I need to not do this anymore. So from CrowdStrike on, I've kept everything separate. You know, one, because I didn't trust the endpoint solution that was on my CrowdStrike laptop. Weird. And you know, and
you don't say.
You know, yeah, and you know, I don't even check Amazon. I don't check Facebook. I don't do emails. I don't do Twitter. Anything on there. Even now at my new joint, the only thing that I have that's personal in nature is I connected to the BreakSec Slack. That's it. That's the only thing I have on there. And if I lose that, then that's no big deal because I've got it on 3 other devices.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not hard once you start doing it, but you have to start doing it at some point. You know, and people are like, well, you know, I have it on my phone and stuff. I don't have work email or Slack or messaging on my phone. How do you handle that? How do you handle that?
My phone?
Is there MDM on your phone?
Nope. Nobody. Okay, they don't know. This is not the only people that know this is a company asset is like the HR lady.
Okay. Okay.
Let's not tell anybody else. Maybe I hope they don't listen to this. We'll see.
It's okay. Nobody's listening.
I don't know if anybody that I work with actually listens. So, yeah, this is I don't want to carry two phones. So I think I think the problem a lot of us have is we've always been in that position that's like, well, I'm the one controlling the MDM.
Right.
Or I'm the person in charge of what this goes on, or I have to deal with the impact of something not having it. Right. So like we kind of, I mean, at least me, I'm speaking for myself, feels like, I don't know, you want to be not included.
Right.
And
right.
I'm like, I don't know, like, I know we're a security company and I'm like the security engineer and I don't know, I can handle it.
Right. Yeah. My thing was, especially working at, CrowdStrike and them, it was like, I wanted to separate my work life. Cause I worked remote when I worked with CrowdStrike. The office, the studio that you see me in right now was the same place I worked at with CrowdStrike and Leviathan and them. But it was like, I needed to be able to break away from that every day and leave work, if you will. And if I'm leaving work with my work email and my work messenger on my personal phone, then I'm not really leaving work. So I realized they were like, well, you need to at least put Okta on there so you can do like push to whatever. I was like, no, I'm good. So I decided that the only thing I needed was either an old phone that would only do Wi-Fi or an iPod Touch. And I would provision that with a legitimate build. I just wouldn't have a SIM card in it. So it would do, GPS or cellular data and connect it to the Wi-Fi network. And if I needed Okta push, it works over Wi-Fi. And if I was away from home and I got a text message from my boss saying, hey, at least check in, I would tether the phone that doesn't have a cellular connection to my, my phone. And then I would have internet connectivity to all my work stuff and I could turn it off.
But what if you need a work number?
I had Google Voice for a while that I could use for that. At the time, it was free to get. I don't know if it's free now, but I had an Austin number that I used that I still have. That once in a while I still get vendor calls from. Thank you, Rapid7. And so every once in a while I'll still get text voicemails from that. But for the most part, I don't give out a phone number these days. There's no reason to give out a phone number. So I've stopped worrying about needing to have a work phone number because the only people who want to contact me at work are vendors. So gone are the days of needing to put a freaking phone number in your, email signature or what have you. So plus there's other IP options. I think Zoom even has telephony now, or when I worked at Leviathan, they had a soft IP phone numbers through.
I use MySudo a lot.
Your what?
I use MySudo a lot.
MySudo. Okay.
Yeah, it's an app that you can like get temporary email addresses and phone numbers through.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the first one I think is free. But then you can pay an additional $1 or something a month.
Yeah, sudo is my sudo the Linux command, MYSUDO. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I use that anytime I need to sign up for something.
Right.
That I'm pretty sure I just want like
one email.
One thing.
Yeah.
Like that's what I use.
That's cool. Proton Mail has something similar, right?
I don't know.
Like where it's a one-time email or something like that, or an ephemeral address. Yeah. I wished all email services had that, but I'm sure you have to pay for it. But there are definitely ways around that. Now I just elected not to put anything on my phone because the company culture of where I work at currently is I could get blown up at 9:00 at night. And I'm like, yeah, that ain't happening. So when I walk away from my work computer, it's closed and nobody can get a hold of me until the next morning. If they call me, it must be because it's really damned important. And I'm just a filthy PM, which is not important. So, but it is possible to disconnect yourself from that. And I think we entertain too much risk by mixing the crossing the beams, if you will, between personal and that. And, phones are far more powerful these days. You shouldn't be bitching about not being able to check Facebook or your email or whatever on your work laptop, which is why I would argue that, we can start blocking those sites on work, no more Gmail. If you're using Google Mail, like the paid version, they have other ways of getting around that, but you should be able to block, Hotmail, Gmail, any free services like that, social media, any
So
social media.
The problem with like social media and stuff though too is like, at least in our company and bigger ones that have full on like marketing departments, like
Right.
like I'm not in marketing anymore, but
Right.
I was so pseudo marketing in the beginning, so like I still access our company's Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and stuff, which makes that difficult.
I would imagine there are definitely ways you could change that. And if we're working remote, if it's, if you're not on the VPN, you should be able to attach to that, if
like ours, like we don't have a VPN because we don't really have any infrastructure.
Right.
Like, I mean, we do, but it's like behind single sign-on and two-factor auth, then
that's true.
Like, right.
That's
like
true.
It's not actually, it's difficult to do. I think you'd have to have a legit endpoint solution to be able to block that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Back in old timey days, back when we had an office with asses and seats, there was the whole
which
thing.
I mean, people still do too.
Right.
Yeah. We always did like, the fun split tunnel VPN, which everybody hates. It's just security and logging nightmare.
The security people hate split tunnel, but everyone else likes it because
right, because everything works.
Everything works.
But nobody that actually wants to track an instant likes split tunnels.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, so it's something to think about, because you may decide you want to rage quit at your company next week. And if you've, crossed all the streams there, if you don't wipe your drives, you may end up like Preston from Apple, where it's like, oh, great, I've just turned over a bunch of personal information to some IT guy, including my Apple Face ID. And, you can change passwords and stuff to turn the Face ID stuff off, or, whatever your Apple IDs or what have you. But, yeah, if you have decided to go the route of putting MDM on your personal device, your phone or what have you, they could wipe your stuff.
Yep.
So, and you could lose more than just work data. So,
and the problem too, like you mentioned, like with the baby pictures and stuff like that, imagine losing like all of your personal MFA token stuff.
Oh gods. Yeah. All your two-factor auth stuff. Yeah.
Like,
see, I have,
oh gosh.
Yeah. I have even separate password lockers. I have my work password locker. I have my personal password locker, which is the work one is KeyPass, because I don't want to pay for it over there. And, I have one password for my personal, but yeah, I've got two MFA. I had an MFA work device and I had MFA personal device. Yeah. And it's not, some people are like, oh, you're just paranoid or whatever, but I go the extra route. I also put my work device on the guest network, like an IoT device, because I don't know what is on my work device. That could be.
You were such a good security person.
I'm just a filthy PM, but yeah,
I am terrible.
God knows what is on your work device that's interrogating your network. I think we saw a couple of news articles about people in, utter shock that endpoint security is, doing scans of your internal network or area, adjacent systems. You don't know what you've got running on those systems that are actually, interrogating your own home networks. So I treat it like an IoT device and just stick it in a guest network somewhere that nothing else touches. When I worked at Leviathan, I actually had an entirely separate network, Wi-Fi network that I would use. This one, I just, have it on the guest network for my Google Wi-Fi. But yeah, I mean, it may be paranoia and it may be like, oh, you're, but you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. And plus, if I isolate my work laptop from the rest of my personal, my personal home network, if I've downloaded something on the network that starts moving laterally, I have less of a chance of infecting my work laptop, which would then potentially infect my work assets or my, whatever zero trust trash that is, being ran by your networks. So just think about moving laterally on your home network. How easy would that be?
I don't have any Windows boxes.
Oh, well, look at you, Captain. I love Apple all the time over here.
It's all Apple. It's all Apple and Linux. Like, I don't have.
Wow. What's it like over in Perfect Town? There's no viruses on Apple and
there
Linux.
aren't.
So,
I've never.
You're so safe.
Nope.
Yeah, Captain of Perfect Town. Whatever. So,
Good luck getting into my, iPhone, and
yeah.
I don't know. But I do have a million IoT devices, to be honest, and like all different brands. I'm not brand agnostic when it comes to just buying random stuff I want to put on my network. So
That's cool. Yeah. I mean,
I'm sure it's a dumpster fire, but I'm just like, as long as it's working, I don't care right now.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. And the other thing is my wife works for a fairly large organization as well. I work for another fairly large organization. Moving laterally in a network, and I would hate for things to jump ecosystems because a completely open network like that is causing issues. So I mean, I'm just surprised it doesn't happen more often. I'm just surprised it doesn't happen more often where Billy downloads Elf Bowling and infects two major organizations.
Yeah, right.
Or downloading something on your personal laptop, and then it's got
that'll be a
got
news
payload.
story. That'll be a news story that we like. That's how SolarWinds happened.
Right. Right. Or, how many people patched in their homes print Nightmare, for instance, and
people still print at home.
I'm ashamed. We do have a printer. I have
printed. I think maybe that's why your risks are different than mine, right? Like
that's true.
You have to have Windows boxes at home. I do not. And I also don't need to print. I'll just print at Staples.
Oh, wow. So you're going to, you drive up to Staples to print out like one thing, or?
Oh, I don't print out. Anytime I have to print, it's like thousands of copies.
Okay.
Yeah. Or the library. I actually had to print one thing the other day. It was like a label or something for a UPS box. And I'm like, all right, where am I going to go? I can't make it all the way to town. Like it's closed or what? Like where am I going to print? And my mom's like, why don't you go to the library? That's genius.
Yeah. Is it free?
It was 10 cents.
Oh, give them 20, give them a quarter time.
I know. Right. Yeah. Like I completely forgot that library printing was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And of course, as long as you're not looking at the weird guy over there with his, hand in his pocket while he's looking.
No.
So
like
it wasn't like that. Okay.
No, not when I went anyway.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's
usually cool. I'm that person.
No.
Oh.
I think we only have one other article, but it was about an NPM package, again, with the supply chain stuff. Actually, there was a couple here. Just before we went to air here, they have I thought they spelled it wrong, but it was the brack tooth. I thought it was break tooth. I was like, they must have spelled wrong.
I'm still calling it break tooth. I think that's what they were going for.
Sweet. Yes, I love break tooth.
Yeah. I thought you named it.
Cool. No, I wish I could have found that. That would have been cool. I would have had something to talk about. But yeah, there's an NPM package called Pack Resolver, has a severe remote code exec flaw, 3 billion weekly downloads, extending this vulnerability to Node.js applications requiring the open source dependency. Touts itself as a module that accepts proxy configuration files and generates a function for your app to map certain domains to use a proxy.
Yep.
I think we've talked a lot about supply chain issues. This isn't one where somebody just handed it over, but I mean, these are very popular ones. It said it was, this is very similar to how WPAD works, the web proxy auto discovery protocol in Windows. So I think I would hope that this got caught before it, they say a few lines of JavaScript can bypass a VM or lead to RCE. So yeah, this is not the only proxy related NPM, but it is one of the most popular ones. So they do have a fix for it, version 5.0, simply bumping up the degenerator version to 3.01. So Sync looks like they may have caught this or may have been able to support the developer in the coordinated disclosure process. So one of the researchers must have found it. If you're using this, if you're one of the 3 million weekly downloads, I don't know why would it be weekly, 3 million weekly? You would imagine that after a time, it's just people downloading the same thing over and over again, or
maybe it includes the updates.
Oh, that could be. I was thinking maybe internally people keep syncing their repos internally so that they're not pulling things out. Maybe that's how they're getting 3 million weekly downloads. You've got a number of people at home who just like decide they want to, store the entire NPM, distro servers and packages, mirrors or something. But yeah, if you're using pack-resolver, patch your shit because you got an RCE in it, especially if you've got a Node.js system externally accessible using this. So, it's a little RCE between friends. So, and then of course the brack tooth, that was kind of an interesting one. Affects a number of Bluetooth chipsets, which, as we've talked about with like Ripple 20 and all those, these are chipsets made by companies like Zhuhai Gelei Technology and Blutrum Technology and Texas Instruments and Qualcomm and Intel and Expressive Systems and Scilabs. Companies that, well, with the exception like Qualcomm and Intel and TI, you may not know who actually owns that company, but you can almost be assured that they're using that shit in your TP-Link router or your Huawei phone or something like that. So, they say digging deeper, researchers discovered more than 1,400 product listings affected by Bracktooth, and the list includes, but not limited to, the following devices: smartphones, infotainment systems. So your car might,
I wonder if our cars are affected.
I would almost be saying yes. Our cars being Teslas, because we're mutual Tesla owners. Tesla Club. What?
Hey, woo.
Woo.
It's because all the money we earn from the podcast.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Patreon donors. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Please. I'm just kidding.
Please.
Please stop. Don't hurt us. But audio devices, home entertainment systems, keyboards, toys, industrial equipment. I mean, the headphones I'm using right now have a Bluetooth chipset in them because I'm using them to tether to the computer. Phones, my Pixel has one. I mean, I've got a number of little things that turn conventional headphones into Bluetooth connected stuff. I mean, So it's a number of security flaws ranging from denial of service by crashing the firmware, or a deadlock condition where the Bluetooth communication is no longer possible, to arbitrary code. So there you go. They said all you need is a development kit, which there's a little bit of a level of effort here. They said the Bracktooth would need an Expressive 32 development kit, custom link manager protocol firmware, and a computer to run the proof of concept tool. So there's 16 Bracktooth vulnerabilities. 2021 139 is a higher risk than others because it allows for arbitrary code execution. So that's on Expressive SoC chipsets. So if you have, find out if your favorite IoT device has an Expressive chipset in it, and go to town, see if that works. There's a video in the bleepingcomputer.com link with, I believe it shows a proof of concept. I could be wrong. But yeah, Intel, Qualcomm chipsets, DOS condition, sending a malformed Bluetooth packet, which is not hard to do with the technologies that we have available. Optiplex Alienware laptops and desktops, Surface devices, Go2 Pro 7 Book 3, and smartphones, Poco Phone F1 and Oppo Reno 5G. So yeah, those are, I don't know what the hell those are, but those are probably not US American phones here. So, but yeah, they did a good write-up on this. They have a number of things, including a list of the 16 write-ups. So max slot length overflows, invalid max slot types, RAND flooding, same host connection, invalid complete setup. I mean, it runs the gamut here. So if you want to check out any of those CVEs, it looks like they've been put out there. So good job to the writer of that on Bleeping Computer. But yeah, that just again highlights, supply chain issues. You don't know what you've got running in your systems. If you're an IoT, company, you need to know what you got running and going on there. So always keep track of your PLCs. They say industrial equipment is also involved. So you need programmable logic controllers specifically. So that's good times. So Yeah, it won't be the last. And, hopefully they'll be able to issue patches, or again, they probably won't be able to issue patches. So, yeah. JBL. Okay. So yeah, they show the different dev kits as well. So there's a laptop Forge 15-R, Xiaomi XIOAMI. So it's a phone type issue. So JBL Tune 500 BT. So Harman International. So like Harman Kardon, the speaker systems. So maybe some Bluetooth speakers are also busted. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've talked enough. I hope everybody found this enjoyable. Ms. Berlin, you've got a lot going on.
Less going on now. They're like,
really?
Yeah, they're like canceling stuff now.
Oh, again, because of fucking Delta or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
What were you supposed to be at that got canceled?
Well, this Hacking Fest just went all virtual. I had just booked tickets for there. Secure WV is not even doing a virtual option now. A couple other ones.
Shit. Well, we thought about doing a virtual component for our conference for about 2 seconds, and then I realized I don't want to be sitting in a campsite.
It's so much work
to manage a Discord.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame you.
That didn't work out. That
also,
well
you know how like at my last house we had the trains as like a podcast bingo item.
Right.
Did you hear the horn going, or was it not loud enough?
I did not hear that.
You didn't. Okay. So there is somebody that has a legit train horn down the street from me. Last year when I moved here, I thought I was going crazy because I had just replaced my thermostat earlier in the day. Okay. And like towards the end of the day, there was just a very loud noise. I swear was coming from outside. And by the time I would get to the window to open the window, it would stop. Okay. Turns out this guy with the train horn will blow it every time Ohio State scores.
Oh, goddamn. Classic.
Which is
so classic.
Super obnoxious. So they must be playing tonight because that was the third time while on the podcast I could hear the train horn.
What sport? Because
football.
College football hasn't started yet, has it?
That is the only way I would know it started was because of the train horn.
Yeah, I was gonna say usually college football's on like Saturdays and stuff.
It's in quarter 3 right now.
Oh, fucking hell. All right. Well, yeah. I'm sorry you live in
24-21 against the Minnesota Gophers.
Let's hope the Gophers win. Okay. You could put on like some ninja costume and kind of maybe, go over and liberate the horn.
Nope. I think it would just come back in like triplicate or something then. I don't know.
Maybe you could give it a gopher sock or something, just shove it in there or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you live near Ohio State. So,
well,
we probably just lost some listeners when I said that, but whatever. Yeah, it's interesting. So they're canceling things. I was actually I booked a flight to San Diego at the beginning of October to see a friend of mine. I'm hoping that they're not going to start curtailing flights, at least domestically.
I was really hoping to go to San Diego for Christmas. So
San Diego is fucking lovely around Christmas time. It's like,
my brother just moved back. So, and Michael's in Yuma still. So I wanted to go kind of out there.
Yeah. That's too bad. Yeah, there's a lot of good security people in San Diego as well. I found out Miss Cinders and Ash, a couple of other folks, and they do B-Sides San Diego as well, which I had hoped to go to in December. I don't know what's going to happen to that, but yeah. All right. Well, also, you said there's. Go ahead.
I was going to say one more thing about Blue Team Con is I had 2 people come up to me and tell me that the podcast got them into security.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it was super sweet. Super sweet.
Wow.
Like, we've been listening for years. And, I started listening like 3 years ago. And that's what got me into security. I'm like, aw, it makes me so happy.
How long have you been on the show?
About 3 years now. It's been more than that, I think.
No, actually, I think it's probably been close to 3, maybe 4 years. But yeah.
Yeah, at least 4.
That's fine. If you're inspiring, Miss Berlin, you're a very inspiring person. Anyway, so you said you have less to do now because things have started to become canceled. What are those things that you do for a living that inspire people to join and be in security?
I don't know anymore. No, lately I've been doing a lot of process.
Okay.
Is also a part of what we have to do, right? But we switched over and started doing our detection planning and everything in sprints.
Okay.
Very cool. To align with our engineering, which is more fun than I thought it was going to be honest. Okay. And I feel very dirty saying that I now kind of enjoy JIRA sprints. But it works out well for our team. So
that might be a future show to talk about. As an Agile Scrum manager and product owner myself, that might be something cool. All right. Well, tell us about the Mental Health Hackers. What does that organization do for the industry?
Yeah. So recently we've actually been talking about doing more. So we scheduled another Hackers Who Paint night.
Okay.
So if anybody's interested, you can go sign up for that now. And I think it's in mid-November. So we'll be doing that with another group of people. Last time I think we had about 30 people. We shipped out 40 kits.
Oh, wow.
People did it like on their own times too. They didn't do it necessarily with the Zoom meeting. And then, we all kind of just followed somebody along and painted, and it turned out pretty cool.
Made some happy little trees and some happy clouds. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they were very angry clouds because it was a lightning storm, but it was still fun to paint. And then, gosh, I don't even know what we're doing next. Now that we were going to do Wild West Hacking Fest, but can't do that now. We'll see what else we do. We're always looking for ideas of stuff to do remotely that don't involve just another Zoom meeting, because we feel like that doesn't help anybody's mental health.
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah. We had the whole village at Blue Team Con, and it actually turns out because AV was so expensive for the room, we decided to not do AV and just have presenters sit down and kind of do like a little powwow, like sit around and like give the talks. And it was way cooler. Like
more conversational than
especially when you're talking about topics that like are mental health related. Like it's really cool and that's what we did at DEF CON too. Is just to like sit down and like you kind of give your presentation, which for me is kind of a struggle to give a presentation without my speaker notes, because I read off of those a lot. But it was way more conversational. So I think it may have been like more beneficial for people. So I really like that. But yeah, that's what we're doing with that. And then soon we should be recording like legitimate, like Blue Mira sponsored podcasts, which is going to be cool.
We've invited Blue Mira, which is Ms. Berlin's company, to come and do some talks on response and logging and monitoring. Oh, she's right.
Oh, because we announced our Series A.
Oh, that's right. You're all rich now.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. Like the company is. I didn't get any of it, but
wait, what's that pile of $1 bills back there? Yeah.
No, I've not gotten any of it yet, but we announced it 10.3 million or 10.5 million or something like that. Yeah. Super exciting.
Cool. Excellent. All right. So if people have ideas about the mental health stuff, how would they get a hold of you as you took a drink?
As I took a drink, they can reach us at Hackers Health on Twitter or info@mentalhealthhackers.org.
Okay, and you're doing the tabletop stuff as well? The tabletop?
Yeah, we opened it up for companies. So Jeremy and I started an LLC doing tabletops and playbook creation, and like the whole gamification of that. So we're doing it for a company called 9 Star out of Indiana. And they opened it they're like an ISP kind of. So they opened it up to like their customers. Right. So it's a lot of like sysadmin, help desk people, not exactly C-levels, but maybe security directors, like a lot of small to medium-sized businesses to come for a day and do playbook development.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah. So we're going to do that for full 8 hours.
It follows the game design of something very similar, clerics and caverns, or barbarians and
like
bushes
Pathfinders.
or something like that. Right. Like guy. No, don't say that one.
No, I can say that. I think I can say that one. No,
I don't know. I don't.
I think I'm positive. Maybe. I'm positive I can say that one.
Are you sure?
There's a very popular TV show that says that word. That
gnomes and alleys
also doesn't say the other word.
Okay.
That starts with the 4th letter of the alphabet. Right.
Yeah. Dungeons and Dragons.
Shit.
Anyway, so it follows that. I think you've got like a set of dice, like D20s and D10s and D6s and stuff, and you take on roles. So that's very cool.
Super
so
fun.
If people wanted to do something for their company with you, how would they find you on Twitter?
So I would say the easiest way for that is at InfoSystir, INFOSYSTIR. If you want the really long and complicated, not a shell company domain name, it is info@cybersecurityconference.training.
Okay. So if you want to play some Deserts and Dwarves or something like that, then come on by. So,
right.
Yeah. Mr. Betcher he's the sole developer of LogMD, which is a tool used in forensics and setting up logging on your Windows boxes. You can find him at log-md.com. You can also find him on Twitter at BetcherPwned, BoettCherPwned. You can find myself on Twitter. I'm at Brian Brake, BryanBrake. You can follow next year's InfoSec Campout by following us on Twitter at InfoSec Campout, 26, 28 August 2022. We've already got the venue. We've already booked it. We're looking for sponsors if people want to help out with that. Giving the money would be to a nonprofit, which is I'm the president, and Ms. Berlin is one of the officers of the InfoSec Education Foundation. You can follow us on Twitter there at infosec_edufo. That's the only way I could get it all to fit in one Twitter handle. InfoSec Education Foundation was too long, apparently.
Yeah.
And you can also follow the podcast at Brakesec, BRAKESEC. So like Ms. Berlin said, she's looking for ways to improve mental health by just, instead of just showing up on a Zoom, we're looking for educational opportunities as a nonprofit to help with that. I know that we donated some money for the paint kits.
Yep.
We're also looking for ways to help with underrepresented groups on educational initiatives. The Blacks in Cyber was one of the villages that happened at Hacker Summer Camp there, which was really awesome. Black Girls Hack, of course, we've had those folks on the podcast in the last couple of months talking about what they do. Very excellent organizations. But if you're an educational initiative and you're trying to find a way to start that up, we would love to help out in any way we can. We have probably 15, 20 combined years of experience in education and mentoring and stuff. So please feel free to reach out to myself or any of our officers. And you can find us online there. So thank you to our Patreon donors. I'd like to thank Chris. He started joining our Slack, and he also donated a little money. He didn't have to donate the money to join the Slack, but I do appreciate his contribution to help us and support us on that. It goes to GoDaddy paying for domain registration, Zoom fees every month. We have it also just time and effort in building a community. And our Slack is available. You can send a DM to Brakesec on Twitter or bds.podcast@gmail.com. And we are just finishing up our book club over there. I think we started that up, and it was a fairly short book. I think it only lasted 3 or 4 weeks, but I know that we are working on getting another book started. David Sybuck, one of our moderators, and Paige and Sec over there is trying to get another one started up for the winter time. So if you're interested, and we do it usually chapter by chapter, but you can definitely join us. We do a Zoom. People buy the book either electronically or Dead Tree version, and we just review the book and talk about it. can be a technical book. I think we even tried doing thrillers like the one Daniel Suarez's book. I think we may have talked about doing something like that in the future, where we just have a non-technical book. So yeah, come and join us and hang out. And we have a code of conduct, and we're a moderated community. So yeah, come and join us. So. All right. Well, that was it for Breaking Down Security this week. That went really long, and I didn't expect it to. So I hope everybody's enjoying it. Next week, we'll be on with Kim Crawley talking about her new book that's coming out. You may have heard her on our show almost a year ago with Philip Wiley, talking about how to get into InfoSec. So I'm hoping I hope you enjoy the upcoming interview. And take care of yourselves. Please go get vaccinated, because I mean, Wild West Hacking Fest is now virtual. We've got conferences that are getting canceled because people just are being irresponsible. So please go out and get vaccinated. Wear your fucking masks. Wash your hands, you damn nasties. And when all else fails, take care of yourself as well, because you're the only you have. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye.
Good show, but it went a little long. But it's okay. It was good content.
Yeah, we were ranting. It's been a while.
Yeah, ranting. Oh, that's right. It has been a month. It's been over a month for you. So yeah,
I know.
Ranty.